Welcome to the first developer diary for F1 2011. This is the next step for us, and it's something that we'll keep pushing forward. Some people think it's just about updating the teams and drivers and you just ship the next year's game out. It's nothing like that at all. There's a stack of new things in there. Multiplayer is a big focus for us in 2011. I think it's one of the important things that we have to try and capture this year is get more people involved in playing online.
We've moved up to 16 players online this year and full grids, full 24-car grids.
Co-op championship mode, that's a huge thing. Being able to play with other teammates, one of your pals throughout a season.
Yeah, split screen as well, the bragging rights in the living room.
It's not just about adding a host of new features, it's about polishing the things that we had in there last time as well, or rewriting them if necessary.
The big step forward is the car handling. We really made significant gains there. The AI is now much more capable of making decisions, making intelligent decisions. We're all experiencing this 2011 season for the first time, and these elements are really bringing so much more to the strategy and the racing. Such a better experience in terms of racing round. When do you deploy your curves? When, are you in the DRS zone? The tyre strategy elements. I mean, it's all really going to play into a much more complete experience this year. Live the life. Also a lot more cinematics and a lot more immersion.
It just means it's a much more complete package this time around.
First impressions are really good. Big improvements all round from last year's game.
The physics, graphics, it seems a lot more real.
It's a massive improvement over F1 2010. Really looking forward to its release.
Welcome to the second developer diary for F1 2011.
A lot of the feedback that we got on the 2010 title was that the handling is very good.
For me, that's obviously the thing I want to try and correct as much as possible and improve.
It's not a case of transferring what we'd learned from 10 and just putting it back into 11. The suspension has changed completely. The aero's been updated. You can feel more involved with the car now.
So the fundamental race experience is different now for qualifying than it is for the race. Qualifying's about those golden 2 laps, getting it right, hanging the car out there, really pushing it, really attacking the curbs, which you couldn't do last year.
You can in 11. If you see a driver locking up under braking and smoke coming off the tyres, you can do that in the game.
You've got a lot more mechanical grip basically available to you, and you can feel that in the slow speed corners.
I think it's fair to say last year we were trying to balance handling and AI at the same time, whereas a year later we've already got that foundation there.
The easiest way to look at the AI this time around is they're more dynamic in their decisions. In F1 2010 they would often make the right decision, but then that situation would change and they were committed to a course of action, whereas in F1 2011 they're aware of all the variables, all the surroundings, and they're able to adapt their responses on the fly if things change.
It's about them being in sync with the player, following the rhythm of the race.
They'll go for an overtake, a bit of draft, and all of a sudden that side of the track's not the right one to be on. They're much more likely to pull back in rather than just try a crazy move around the outside.
I mean, they can certainly make mistakes. A driver can put too much throttle on coming out of the corner and spin out. There is a fairly complex system in the background that talks about the kind of gaps that they'd be willing to go for when they're trying to overtake, how quickly they'll put the throttle on. Some drivers are smoother than others.
The AI is tougher. It's a lot more realistic. You're fighting with them a lot more, and they're faster. It's a lot of fun.
The handling's much better than last year. There's a lot more control than there used to be with the oversteer and the understeer. You can really feel the car and also save it if you get a bit of a moment.
So now you can race nose to tail at such extreme speeds. It really brings the race alive.
As each incarnation of the game comes along, you see big steps, and we've definitely seen a big step in this one. Welcome to the third developer diary for F1 2011.
Co-op championship, huge feature for 2011. It allows you and a friend to play in the same team, so now you're fighting for the same thing, which would be the Constructors title. So you're able to play with your buddy throughout a season. You can start and stop the championship when it's convenient for you. When I look across at the garage and I can see my teammate in there, I'm not comparing myself against an AI teammate, I'm comparing myself against somebody I know personally. I'm interested in who's got the most points, who's out-qualified me. It's about trying to fight to be the leader of a team. It makes a completely different experience now, playing that with a friend. It's finally a personal game mode. It's important to be the team leader because you're the one that gets the upgrades first. It gives you an advantage. Now when you look across the garage and you realise it's your friend that's your teammate rather than an AI driver, that's when it becomes personal.
You don't ever want to lose any of the sessions, even a practice session or qualifying session, when one of your friends is faster. You want to put on those options, strap on those new boots and go out there and beat his lap time.
Welcome to the 4th developer diary for F1 2011.
Safety car, a lot of people have been asking us for it. We always said we only did it when it was absolutely right. So now it's available in single player and multiplayer.
It's really the wild card in the pack. Maybe you're out in front, maybe you think you've got a solid podium position, maybe you think you're at the points and there's no chance, and all of a sudden this key event comes in, it's all fully playable. Can you dive into the pits and get a lap advantage on everyone else? You have to keep the distance to the car in front of you and the car behind. You need to do the weave-in sequences to keep your tyres up to temperature.
So we've got all the new rules from the season as well, things like KERS, the DRS, Pirelli tyres. Just those 3 things alone make the game feel completely different. So KERS is about having the battery power that's stored under braking. You can use a small boost as you're going around the track. It helps you launch out of the corners. DRS is about stalling that rear wing, changing the drag value on the back so that you can travel at a higher speed. You're really using this predominantly in the race as an overtaking tactic. Pirelli tyres we're mentioning because it's making such a huge difference to the racing this year. The degradation is really interesting. Last year when you were in a qualifying session, you could go out and just keep putting in lap after lap until the tyres completely wore out. This time around you get 2 or 3 really good laps out of them and then they kind of flatline before dropping off a cliff.